So the Erne is a very advanced shot that has two unique approaches. I like the forehand, and Len Yang here has mastered the backhand. So today we're going to walk through why you should Erne with your forehand or backhand and the advantages of each. So Len, what are some of the advantages of backhand Erne?
One of the main advantages is that I can take it a lot earlier with my backhand instead of my forehand. And then my next one is one of my favorite shots. I love hitting that sharp, wide angle to the left side of the court.
So I know you have a really good flick, and so I think that translates a lot to the actual Erne. Specifically on the backhand side, like obviously you come from table tennis and you have that flick, and basically all you're doing is jumping and flicking the ball at the same time.
Yeah.
And so I think with your backhand, what you're saying is because your paddle is leading and your body's following, you're able to take it a lot earlier, and therefore that opens up that angle, specifically when you're on the left side, because you're flicking left to right in this way that's going cross court, so you're allowed to hit that sharp angle.
Yeah, you said it perfectly. It's basically, I'm just hitting a flick, but I'm jumping in the air as I'm hitting this, and then I can hold it just long enough where my opponents don't know where I'm gonna go with that ball. And a lot of times, even if they know I'm going wide there, they don't have the time to get to that ball because I'm taking the ball early already.
So I noticed that you stepped with your right foot. Is that your typical mechanic for the backhand Erne?
Yeah, so usually I would jump off my left and then land with my right here. I usually go here and then.
Got it. So you're planting with your left, which is actually your inside foot, and then turning your right foot over to make this jump.
Yeah, a lot of times I actually like it when I hit a return and I'm running up and I know they're gonna be hitting here. So I bait that ball and I run here, stop here, boom, launch off my left, land on my right.
Got it. Yeah, because it's pretty tough. It makes sense because if you're jumping off of your right from this far, you're covering so much more distance and whatever, you're sacrificing an extra foot, but this jump is practically impossible.
Yeah, especially when you're unathletic like you.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen some people, we'll talk about it more on the forehand side, but when you're Erneing with a forehand, you kind of, I mean, Tyler Lung's probably the best example of it, where he jumps, he basically slides this foot back and then jumps with his right foot still, but he does that not from here, he actually pushes off right here. So, I mean, I think you will always have to jump from here because it's almost impossible to jump from closer to the middle.
100%.
But yeah, in terms of targets, it seems like with your backhand, you aim a little bit more cross and you're trying to get it down with topspin because you're able to generate that topspin off of your flick. And that short angle we see at the pro level, for example, I mean, take Hayden, for example, with his grip, just naturally is gonna pull a lot of flicks cross, and he's able to jump when he reads it well and flick a short angle winner. It's not coming hard, it's just short angle, and that's how he's able to win the point.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is also just an element of surprise. People aren't expecting that ball. They expect that they're hitting a good third here, and then us conceding in the kitchen. But then if it's wide enough, we can just boom.
Yeah.
And yeah.
No, you're totally right, because like as soon as I see you jump, or as soon as your opponent sees you jump, they're immediately on their back foot now, trying to they're expecting it at their feet. They're taking a few steps back, trying to shovel it. And as soon as they take that step back, then that opens up that sharp angle. And that's something only the backhand can do really well. Another thing that I think the backhand does is you're not like defenseless. So I can still counter in the air because I'm able to cover my body with my backhand, compared to if I'm hitting a forehand Erne. I'm really, really weak at the body if I open just slightly early. And with my forehand Erne, I'm now leading with my body instead of my paddle. And leading with your paddle leaves you a lot more protected. Say, for example, if they get pulled out and instead of scooping it back, they like speed up, you're still on that Erne. So what patterns do you like the best to set up your Erne?
So one of it, like I said already, was off the third when I'm unwinding, because people think this is open, but it's not open. Two, I actually like a lot of times if my partners are going right to right, and then my partner hits a ball to the middle, and then the left side guy decides to come get that next ball with their forehand, usually that ball is gonna come to my backhand. Or a lot of times, right to right again, and then I see that the person in front of me is short hopping the ball and he's looking down, that's my cue to go.
Got it. So that's something that's actually really important, is when your opponent's looking down, they lose eyesight of what's going on the other side of the net. So say you hit an aggressive ball from here, I'm right here, you hit an aggressive ball this way, and now my head is completely down, getting this, reaching for it. I have no clue what you're gonna do. I have no clue if you're in middle, I have no clue if you're 2 steps off the line, I have no clue if you're Erneing.
And most people, their first reaction is just to go down the line.
Yeah, For sure. And I think one of the best counters for an Erne has got to be just scooping it back middle.
Yep.
And I mean, that's something that a lot of coaches teach. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But in order to avoid someone that has a very good Erne, you're gonna wanna scoop the ball middle.
Yep.
Because they're gonna try to set themselves up. Like if you look at someone who is a very good Erne, the patterns that I like is trying to brush this forehand dink, sharp corner. So then they have to put their head down, they have to scoop now, and then that sets you up for that Erne. The only way to get out of it is to short hop it or scoop it back middle. But this is actually something that's very interesting that I'm taking away from this, is the patterns that you look for to Erne are different than the patterns that I look for. When I set up my Erne, I'm looking to hit an inside-in forehand to shovel him to the corner to then set myself up for this ball right here. Looks like when you're getting your Ernes, you're trying to hit it from a middle ball, kind of playing that triangle where your partner hits a ball to the middle or you hit a return to the middle, and then it's coming back from the middle of the court rather than the sideline, which is where I'm looking. And because of that, you're able to stay home longer.
Yeah.
And that's actually another advantage, is you're able to stay home a lot longer. So when you're reading that fourth ball, if you read it wrong, you're still home. Compared to, for example, one of the downfalls of a forehand Erne is you have to lead with your body. So you're leaving earlier than your backhand.
Yeah. So like a lot of times, like that pattern, especially if right to right, like me and my partner were winning a lot of that right to right, that left side guy will want to get involved. So a lot of times to get involved, he has to come middle, take that middle ball, and to change that pattern up, he will always, like 90% of the time, go inside out to my corner. And that's my cue to go.
Got it, yeah. And they tend to give it away with like a little shoulder shimmy, or as soon as they open their paddle face, then you know they're pushing it down there. But yeah, that's another key takeaway, is you're able to stay home a lot longer because you're leaving with your left foot. You don't have, there's not much footwork involved. I'd say there's way less footwork with a backhand Erne compared to a forehand Erne, because all I have to do to hit a backhand Erne is just literally take a step like this. With a forehand Erne, I kind of, because I'm jumping with my right, I have to slide back and push off of my right. So a lot less footwork and you can stay home a lot longer. So it's a bit more defensive, to be honest. You have to read it a lot better with the forehand and a lot earlier. So now this is my favorite Erne. This is the forehand Erne. And yes, I do hit some backhand Ernes when there are angles applicable, but in terms of most of my shots, I'm going to favor my forehand. And so the reason is I'm gonna get a lot more reach with my forehand Erne than I am my backhand. For example, when I hit this Erne as a backhand, the most I can reach, say I'm jumping right here, is this 3 feet right here. Compared to if I'm hitting a forehand and I'm jumping like this, I'm able to cover more like 4 or 5 feet. So that extra foot or so is worth it, in my opinion. Now the downfall of hitting the forehand Erne, as we talked about, I'm leading with my body. I'm jumping and my body is pushing towards the sideline before my paddler. And so that leaves me vulnerable for a speed up that's coming at my body. So say I hit this Erne, but I read it wrong, I'm already in the air. So now I have to get back and hustle to save the point.
And I think a lot of times with the forehand Erne, you kind of have to win the point. Because once you get here, it's very hard to kind of come back here. Because a lot of times your forehand Erne, you're not really hitting an angle, you're just kind of just trying to hit it at their feet and you're trying to hit a winner. Right? Yeah, and if you don't end up hitting that winner, they can burn you pretty easily. But if you hit a backhand Erne, a lot of times, yeah, you're trying to go for a winner, but you're going for more of an angle. So if I go for that cross court, it's very hard for them to hit a winner back here because my partner's covering there. I have time to come back. Even if they get to that ball, it's gonna be a lofty ball, maybe to here, and I have time to come back here. But if you're hitting a forehand Erne, you're going right down the line here, and then they get good counter on it, you're not gonna be able to get that back on that.
That's actually a really good point, is when I hit my forehand Erne, I do think you're right. I'm leaving my partner on what I call an island, where they're stuck here, they have no support from me, and I'm kind of just watching, compared to if you hit a backhand, your partner is able to close all of the angles a lot better. But yeah, like you said it really well, regarding targets and where I aim, I'm looking to hit it to their feet, either middle or line, as hard as possible. So as hard into their feet as possible, that's my goal when I'm hitting my forehand Erne. As you can see, there's no true way for me to hit an inside out cross court short angle the way Len can with his backhand Erne. So I'm committed to hitting this ball down. And something that I also do is it's intended to be a winner. For the most part, I think you should try to hit winners with Ernes, but there are times where I just try to hit it down to their feet. And me and my partner have coordinated this, where as soon as they see me go, your partner should also slide to then put that next ball away. If you're the partner of the person who's Ernieing, say Len's Ernieing right now, it's shading. So I'm gonna follow him and make sure to cover his side of the court. Yes, that leaves open my line, but that's a much more difficult shot to hit than this middle to middle pattern. Another thing to note that is a disadvantage of hitting a forehand Ernie is since you're leading with your body, sometimes you'll have a little bit more momentum early on. If I swing and don't make contact with the ball and step over the net, then that's a fault. I know the new PPA rules are trying to get rid of that, but for the most part, on amateur levels in most tournaments, this is what's gonna be recognized as a fault. I see a lot of amateurs, sometimes they swing or sometimes they look over the net for fun, or their momentum just takes them all the way over here and they're standing on the other side of the court. That's actually a fault. And so I've gotten called with that. I remember I was playing against Colin Schick and I tried to set up an Ernie and I missed it, but whiffed over the net, and the referee actually called it because they had that side view, and it was a fault on us, and it was a key point.
It was a crazy point, too.
It was a crazy
highlight point.
And I messed that up. Now, the only way if you're hitting a forehand Ernie to actually hit that angle is to use your pancake grip and kind of hit this tomahawk. And so, for example, DJ Young does it, Zane can sometimes do it, but Zane's washed now. You have some of these newer players that when they jump, instead of swinging the ball down in front of them, they actually invert their wrist like this and hit a sharp angle still. So that is something to note. It's very rare to see, but for the most part, I think Stefan Erne is one of the best Erniers of all time. Obviously, we have Tyler Loong, which is the most mainstream, and he's mastered it. He's been doing this forever now, and he's known for the Ernie. He's the Ernie King. And the way that he does it actually, mechanics-wise, is he pulls his left foot back. It's inverted for him, but he pulls his left foot back, leans in, and as soon as he pulls his left foot back, he moves with his right foot and then pushes through like that. So as soon as he pulls his left foot back, this then opens up his right foot to then get into this spot right here, rather than doing this. So it's very unique. You see him, he leans in very early, which gives it away, but there's no way to counter it. If you hit a bad ball that's floating, you know it's coming, but you can't do anything with it when it's coming hard like that. But other than that, Stefan is a great example of someone who Ernies very well. Something to note, like what you mentioned on thirds, is he, as a lefty, really cuts off that corner third because he's able to jump early, read it well, and hit a good, powerful forehand Erne down his line. And so when you and your partner get very good at Ernies, you can cut off of the corners of the court with that third ball, right?
Yeah, because that cuts off the safe space. Like that's another like 3-4 feet where they just can't drop for the thirds. They have to start dropping in the middle. And
granted, the middle has more margin with the net, but it's a little bit scarier, right? Because they're their forehand now.
Yep.
I know most people are unlike you and don't have a crazy good backhand flick, so their forehand is going to be a bit more developed, especially off the bounce too. So the middle drop is a little bit more scary to deal with, even though it cuts off the angles. So that concludes this video on how to hit a backhand Erne and which one should be the right fit for you. Thank you for coming on, Len. I'll leave all of your socials right here, as well as in the description down below, and I'll see y'all next week. I like the backhand. I don't like the backhand. I like the backhand. Okay.
And you're able to hit a sharper
All right,
corner.
say it like you don't have a pussy. Sorry, my editor's gonna love this.
One is a... Megan's always carrying his...
Yeah. Fuck you. Anyways, a really good... Woo!